Hello, and welcome back to Literally My Life, my guide to girlhood. I'm not sure if this is the 25th or the 26th episode. I really don't care. All I care about is that I'm so happy to continue to be you guys' host. I've been through a lot in these last 7 months alone, but I've really been through a lot in these past couple of weeks, especially last week when you guys saw me on my floor over there, cracked skin, going through it, breaking down. And I'm so happy that I have the resources and the help to get better in the way I have in the last week, and that I'm able to continue to be hosting this podcast. I'm just really grateful today. That's the mood of the day. I'm feeling grateful. So hence the title. Today we're going to be talking about letting go of unhelpful behaviors and embracing mental health, and how I have personally been reclaiming my life and embracing my mental health for my own emotional and mental well-being, and how I think you guys should too. I feel like I've had a big breakthrough these last couple of weeks, especially last week alone. I feel like I've worked really, really hard this last week to get from the point I was last Monday or Tuesday when I uploaded that to today, and how I feel so much better and the work that I've done. And I just want to share that with you guys and give you guys tips on how to reclaim your life and your mental health. So today's episode might be a little bit touchy. I don't think it's as triggering as last week's episode, but it can still be triggering. So viewer discretion is definitely advised, and I really hope you guys enjoy today's episode. Okay, so the first thing I decided to let go of recently was people pleasing. I recently decided to let go of people pleasing, and it has been the best decision of my life. And I feel like I've heard that a lot, from people who are like, I stopped people pleasing and I started living more for myself, and it was so much easier. And I used to always be like, no, it is my job in life to please people. But it's not. So I want to first talk about understanding people pleasing. People pleasing to me is living your life for others' validation and trying to do everything you do. You want to make people happy instead of making yourself happy. So your end goal in everything you do, your intention, is to make somebody else happy. It's not to, boost your self-esteem or make you happier or improve your life. It's more to make other people happier, which is completely unhealthy. And this is why I think it's unhealthy. I think people pleasing is completely unhealthy because if you are going to spend the rest of your life trying to make other people happy, first of all, they will never be satisfied in my experience. This is from a chronic people pleaser. And second of all, you'll never be happy. So I don't understand. I can say this from the other side now, but I just don't understand spending your life and all of your actions, you want the direct reaction to make somebody else happy when they're most likely not going to end up happy, and you're more than likely not going to end up happy. It's just not going to happen. Now, there's one thing to be considerate and to, have empathy for people. That's one thing, but people pleasing is a whole nother level. And it's unhealthy. And this is coming from a chronic people pleaser. I'm not even kidding, since I was 6 years old, always wanted to make people happy. It was either my mom, it was either my dad, it was either my sister, it was whoever. I wanted to make people happy. I wanted to make people proud. And all I cared about was what they thought about me. And for me, it was really my mom. All I cared about was what my mom thought about me. That's all I cared about. And it's so much easier for me now to say, you know what, I want to do things that will make Alex happy. I care about what Alex thinks about me. It's so much easier now that I'm not a big people pleaser. So now I'm going to talk about a little bit about my decision to let go of people pleasing. Now, I realized I needed to stop people pleasing when I realized I was completely and utterly unhappy. I was so miserable people pleasing. I realized I was the people around me, it feels like I had been feeling this feeling for about 3 months now. No matter what I do, and no matter what I try to do or who I'm trying to make happy, no one is happy. No one is satisfied. It is never good enough. That was the biggest thing for me. I felt like no matter what I was doing, I was running in this circle and it was never good enough. I was always trying to make my friends happy. I was always trying to make my mother happy. I was always trying to make my family proud. And my friends ended up hating me. My mom ended up disregarding my feelings, and my family, they're cool. But you know what I mean? Like, it got me nowhere. It literally got me nowhere, to the point in my life where I came into this year with a very solid support system, and now I feel like I only have like God, me, and my best friend. And I had like 10 people who were like my ride or dies. And that includes family members. And I feel genuinely now that it's just me and my best friend. Because I spent the first 7 months of this year trying to please everyone. I was trying to make my friends happy, and my friends all turned on me. You know what I mean? Like, I was just trying to do everything for everyone, and it was never good enough. And that was, to me, it clicked. It was like, people pleasing is not getting me anywhere. I'm extremely unhappy. My mental health is on the decline. I'm not okay. And my friends hate me. My friends hate me. My mom disregarded my feelings. My whole world is coming apart from people pleasing. And it's not okay. It's not okay. And something needs to change. Now, I took certain steps to prioritize my own needs and desires. And the first thing was acknowledging my mental health. And I talked a lot about this last week. If you have not listened to last week's episode, you need to, because this is like a direct follow-up of last week. So go listen. But I talked about last week asking for help. I was sitting here I was in this exact same spot, and I was talking to my therapist on the phone, and I broke down crying, and it was like so relieving but so sad at the same time, because I broke down because I realized I was not okay. I'm not the fearless girl that I usually am. I was not the girl that was totally in control. I was not myself, and I realized I was not okay, and I realized what was breaking me, and it was people pleasing. People pleasing was literally killing me. My mental health was on a strong decline. I talked about I was having issues with self-harm. I was having self-esteem issues. I was experiencing suicidal thoughts and ideations. Like, I was really, really on the decline. Like, I was not myself, and I've done so much work, in the past couple of years to improve my mental health and become this better person. And I had just like regressed. I had undone all my process people pleasing. So yeah, asking for help was like that biggest step for me, because I feel like it gave me this realization that I was the priority. Like, people pleasing was no longer a priority for me, because I am not okay, and I'm not okay, and my mental health is on the decline, and I cannot be the productive, happy podcast host, entrepreneur, great young woman that I usually am, if I'm not okay up here. Like, your mental health, I realized the priority of my mental health. That was the biggest thing. That was the biggest step I took. I remember maybe last Olympics, but the Olympics was held in 2021, I think, last time, because of COVID. I remember Simone Biles didn't compete, and I realized she was going through the trials with her former, I think, coach or doctor or whatever. I'm not very educated about the case, but I remember reading in a magazine article her saying she wasn't going to compete that Olympics, and I was like, oh my god, like, why is Simone Biles not going to compete? She's amazing. And she had said she chose her mental health. And I remember thinking that was the strongest thing ever. Like, she was like, I am going through so much in my personal life. My former doctor, who abused me and abused other girls, is on trial. And I'm going through too much in my personal life, and my mental health is not okay. And I'm not going to train to do the actual Olympics right now. I'm not going to do it. And she chose her mental health. And that was so inspiring to me. And that's how I feel right now. I can't, compete in the Olympics or just do everything that I usually do if I'm not okay. That realization was so big to me. And shout out to Miss Simone. Miss Team USA is going to be competing in Paris. I think the Olympics are next week. And see, the next Olympics, she's competing. She's doing great. She's qualified because she took that time to prioritize her mental health. And that is so strong. So if you are struggling with people pleasing, realize that you are the priority. Okay? It made me so upset that it took a actual breakdown. Like, I had to actually lose everything to find myself. I hate that that's what it took, but that's what it took for me. But I want you to know, if you are people pleasing, if other people are the priority in your life, you are never going to be happy unless you start living for you. You are never going to be happy unless your opinion starts mattering a lot more than what other people think about you. We talked about this and how to really stop caring what people think about you. You should listen to that if you haven't. But you will never be happy if you are trying to live up to other people's expectations, because people are never satisfied. People are never satisfied. So I strongly encourage that you start to love yourself enough that the only opinion that matters is God's and yours. Okay? Because if God is for you, who can be against you? Okay, so the second thing I let go of was living up to other people's expectations. And the biggest thing for me with that was the burden of other people's expectations. I just talked about how I feel like people are never satisfied, and I'm going to tell like a little mini story as to why. So, one time, my freshman year of high school, I threw a Friendsgiving dinner, right? And so my best friend and her cousin they went to the same high school. So I invited them, and they went to school with another girl who was like friends of my friend. And I didn't really know her that well, but I was like, you know what? You come too. I went to their school. I picked them all up. I brought my friend from Shy Arts, and we had a big Friendsgiving dinner. I paid for the dinner. I'm not trying to be cheap, but I paid for the dinner. I entertained everybody. I then provided transportation for us to all go see the Lane Tech versus Notre Dame basketball game, which was an interesting era, and it was great. And I had invited our other friends. I basically saw all of my close friends in one day. I had planned it all. I had paid for it all. I provided everybody rides, food, transportation. I was the ultimate host, and I felt like I did a perfect hosting job, and I thought I was going to receive nothing but compliments and be told how a wonderful host I am and how I should host every Friendsgiving dinner and how great I was. And then the girl that I had invited spontaneously because she went to school with my best friend and her cousin complained about how I wouldn't give them a ride home. And I was like, no way. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I have done so many things today to make everybody happy, and she still found something to complain about. And that really, that was the first eye-opener for me. And that happened my freshman year. That was November 2021. It's now July 2024. And I still constantly think about that story. I still think about how I had to genuinely defend her because she complained. I had to defend myself because she complained to our other friends how I wouldn't find a ride home for her or whatever, this, that, and the third. And it made me so upset because it was like, I did everything today to make you happy and you still aren't happy. And I couldn't do it. It impacted my happiness. It made me upset with myself. And then I realized, I was like, you know what, Alex, you did a really good job today. You didn't have to plan a Friendsgiving dinner, but you went out of your way, you went on a limb to make everybody happy and to make everybody feel better about themselves and to get them food and entertainment and to talk about stuff and to get them rides and to pick them up from school and to be the ultimate host. And if you had one shortcoming, you had one shortcoming, and your friend would not focus on that. And you need to be happy with what you did. And that's how I'm living my life now. I'm happy with what I do, because I lived up to other people's expectations. What I just told you guys about my Friendsgiving story would be day-to-day life. You can do 10 things out of 11 for a person, and they will still find the time to complain about that one thing you didn't do. And I'm not saying that's always the case with people, but that is most of the time with people in general. I feel like it's different with the people that you really know and love. But with people in general, they will most of the time focus on the one thing out of the 11 that you didn't do or you weren't that good at. And that happens all the time. You know, I've tried out for my school softball team. I sucked at softball. I've actually never talked about it on here. Oh my God, that's so embarrassing. And I sucked at it. And a lot of girls on the team poked fun at me because of it. And I dealt with a lot of, not a lot of backlash for it, but I dealt with some. I was picked on because of it. And it made me upset because it was like, I am many, many things. I'm very smart, and I'm good at cheerleading, and I'm good at my academics, and I'm a kind person, and I'm on the debate team, and I'm on the chess team, and I can do pretty much any and everything but softball. I'm just not that athletic of a person. I just can't do it. And it felt like everybody focused on my one shortcoming. And I realized, I feel like if my intention in there was to go in there and have fun and not focus on the other girl's expectations who's been playing softball since they came out the womb, like they came out the womb with the baseball bat. Had I gone in there and actually cared a little bit more about just having fun with it, I feel like I would have performed better. I would have trained harder. It would have been more for me. And that's like a big realization. Like, wow, this is like a little therapeutic moment for me. It would have been so much better had I actually thought about it for me instead of trying to live up to those other girls' expectations. And that's why now I'm deciding my own path. I define my own goals and my own values. I'm going to sit down tonight. I'm going to take a bubble bath after this. And I'm going to sit down tonight and I'm going to write a list of goals of things that I want for myself and my future. Because at the end of the day, it's about me and what I want to do. You know, my mom used to tell me, she wasn't really serious about it, but she used to always say she wanted me to be a doctor. Me, it's not for me. I respect everybody who wants to get into medicine. It's not for me. But it would be, the old Alex would have like legitimately tried to go to medical school and get into medical school and try to be a doctor and then get into her residency and realize she hates it and live the rest of her life being miserable. And that's just like how dedicated I was to living up to other people's expectations, and I just genuinely cannot do it anymore. You guys saw me last week. You guys saw me at my lowest point, and I can't do it anymore. And I got to that low point by living up to other people's expectations. So from now on, like that softball story, like that Friendsgiving story, I am going to go into things with the intention of benefiting myself and with the intention of having fun. Like, my intentions are all centered about me and my happiness. It's not centered around what people are going to think about me. It's not centered around other people's happiness. It's not centered around anything about other people. It's all centered around me. And I am emphasizing that because it's important and it's okay to be selfish sometimes. I feel like people like me who are, I hate to say it, it's kind of corny, but I'm an empath. I care so much about other people and other people's feelings, and I never in my life want to make another person feel bad. I do not get some kind of satisfaction out of hurting other people. That is not what I want to do. And so I feel like I go above and beyond to please and make people happy because it makes me happy. But at the end of the day, it was killing me. It was literally killing me, and I could not do it anymore. So I'm so glad that I found the importance of self-discovery and staying true to myself. It is like the best thing that has happened to me this summer. This is like the summer I turned pretty. Like, this is like that summer of self-discovery and discovering your identity and who I really am. And the thing that is most important to me is living up to my own expectations. Who knows? Maybe next year I'll try out for softball again and I'll have fun literally just going to the workouts and training and doing it for myself. Because now that I talk about it out loud, it's so good to like finally say, I cared so much about what those girls on the team thought about me that I performed so poorly. And I think had I gone into it doing it for me, I would have maybe done a lot better. So that's a big lesson for you guys. That's another big lesson. Do things for you. Go into things and set your own expectations and live up to your expectations, not other people's. Because 10 times out of 10, you will perform and do so much better when you live up to your own expectations instead of other people's. Clock it. So now I want to talk about prioritizing mental health, okay? Because that is a big thing. And the biggest thing for me that helped me prioritize my mental health was, first of all, recognizing the neglect. Now, I like to say I'm a very emotionally in tune person. Like, I'm very in touch with myself. I'm very in touch with my body and my emotions. I just am. Like, I'm an emotional person. I'm very sensitive. That's just who I am. I always have been that way. But somehow I have been neglecting my feelings because I have been trying to fix the chaotic living situation I'm in now, instead of trying to adjust to it and work on myself. And I was literally talking to this is like a therapy session, I swear. But I was literally talking to my therapist about how I felt like my mom's expectations were too high of our situation, and she was living in this delusion, and instead of adjusting her expectations, she was trying to make something better that's not going to get better. And now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing the exact same thing. Like, I kept trying to change the situation I was in instead of adjusting to the situation I was in and making the best out of it. And now that I'm able to do that, I'm realizing that I was so busy trying to fix things, I was completely neglecting my mental well-being, which led to me crying on the floor to you guys last week. And although there's nothing wrong with breaking down, I don't want to get to that point again. I really don't, because when I get to that point, I take things out on myself. And I don't deserve that. And that was the biggest consequence for me. That everybody's different, but the biggest consequence for me for like neglecting my mental health is taking it out on myself. And I don't deserve that. I really don't deserve that. I will get mad at myself. I'll have really bad negative self-talk. I will just be in a funk with myself. And usually, I told you guys, I work on retraining my thoughts and always being kind to myself and this, that, and the third. But when I get into the space that I was in last week and the weeks before, I am so negative and my mind is such a bad place to be in. And it's literally so bad. And I got to the point where I was in, this is triggering, but I was harming it. And I don't really want to like get too deep into that. But I don't want to get down that path again, because that's not going to lead to something healthy. It's not. So then I recognize the steps to change. Now, I just talked about how I asked for help and how I realized I had to make my mental health a priority, because you have to think about it like this. This is my biggest example. Everybody gets sick. You are going to have a day where you have a fever or you have a cold and you're like, oh my God, I have 102-degree fever. I'm sneezing like crazy. I have a cough. I can't go to school today. I can't get up and take the train or take the bus to school and go to school for 8 hours and do my homework. I'm sick. Like, I don't feel good. You can't perform at the same capacity that you can when you don't have an 102-degree fever. So that's how you to think about your mental health. I can't perform at the same capacity that I usually can because I don't have an 102-degree fever, obviously, but I'm mentally sick and I'm not feeling good up here. And I won't be able to do the things that I can usually do or be that girl that I usually can be unless I feel better upstairs. You know what I mean? So some daily practices and habits, I talked about this last week, but I've been doing this week is I've been getting up early and I've been going to the gym. I don't really work out for health, which is awful to say. I kind of just work out it's really good. Like, working out actually produces endorphins. Like, it's scientifically proven. It's good for your mental state. And I also work out because it really just makes me happy. It makes me look good. Like, I just like to work out. I'm just one of those people. I didn't know I really like to work out, but I've been getting up. I've been working out. I've been drinking. After I leave the gym, I go to Tony's, and I've been drinking all the nasty juices that they sell, like the celery juice, the fresh pressed, like carrot juice. Carrot juice is so nasty. But I've been drinking the juices because they really help with like my gut health, and I've been journaling. I've been writing these awfully beautiful poems that I love, because poetry for me, that's my therapy. Praying, poetry, and podcasting are the big 3 P's for me. And it's my therapy. Like, when people are like, you need to take care of yourself, you need to do better for yourself, this is me, taking care of myself. This is my therapy. I went on Literally My Life's TikTok. And if you guys don't follow Literally My Life's TikTok at this point, you are so weird. No, I went on Literally My Life's TikTok, and I was like, I need to take a little break from this. I post like 3 to 4 times a day. I really try to engage with you guys. I've been working on our website. I've been working on getting like deals, like brand deals and stuff like that. and I'm exhausted. I'm not feeling good mentally, and I just need a little break. And everybody was so nice. People were like, oh, I hope you're okay, feel better, do better. And I was like, oh, I love you guys so much. And that's just what I needed. Sometimes you have to step back because you can't be Wonder Woman all the time. And that's how it was for me. I'm breaking down, I'm having a moment, and I have to realize that I can't neglect my mental health anymore, because I'm not going to be able to function at that same capacity that I would if I was, doing well emotionally and physically. And that's the biggest thing with you guys. You have to prioritize your mental health. You have to recognize the neglect, and then you have to take steps to change it, because you will not be able to succeed or be this person you want to be or accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish if you are not prioritizing your mental health. Think about that fever. You cannot go to cheerleading practice or badminton practice or go to school even if you have 102-degree fever. You don't feel well. And it's the same thing up here. Your mental health is your wealth. Your health is your wealth. And I didn't realize the importance of this until now, and I just keep thinking about that Simone Biles reference. Like, just think about her. Think about how she took some time off to get herself together, and think about how she is killing the Olympics. Think about that. Like, that is the best example. That's the best example. So it is so important to take care of yourself, and it is so important to balance your life. And now that I'm getting up and I'm going to the gym, I'm journaling, I'm drinking my celery juices, I'm seeing my friends more, I'm taking care of Alex, I'm having self-care nights, I take bubble baths every night, I'm meditating, I'm drinking hot beverages before bed, and I'm really doing things for myself. I feel so much better because I'm prioritizing the things that are making me happy and making Alex feel better about Alex's life. And it feels so much better, and it feels so freeing to prioritize your mental health. So I highly recommend you do it. Highly. Okay, I want to talk a little bit more, because I talked about it a lot last week, but I want to talk a little bit more about seeking professional mental health support. So, as we talked about last week, I had a mental breakdown. Like, I had a breakdown. I was at my lowest point, and I just sat there and I cried about feeling helpless and just feeling awful. And, I go to therapy every Tuesday. If you don't go to therapy, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I talk about it a lot. And I'm a strong, strong advocate for therapy. But it is really hard for people to be completely and openly honest with their therapist, because they are very concerned about getting sent to the psychiatric ward, or like going to this, psychiatric hospital. And it was really hard for me to open up to my therapist about how I was truly, really feeling. I was really feeling down, depressed, and hopeless. I was feeling completely and utterly hopeless. I was feeling like I was drowning in my situation, and I was so nervous about telling her that. I was so nervous to tell her about my hopelessness, about my suicidal thoughts and ideations, and about the self-harm. Like, I was so nervous to talk about it. And looking back at it, it was the best decision I could have made. There's nothing wrong with going to the psychiatrist. I didn't have to be put on a 72-hour hold or go to the psychiatric hospital or anything like that. But there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like people are like, because there's such a stigma around mental health, there is nothing wrong with living in a group home for a little bit of time until you can get your mental health together. There's nothing wrong with treating your mental health by staying in a psychiatric hospital. There's nothing wrong with being placed on a 72-hour hold. I would much rather date somebody, because I know there's like a stigma, but I would much rather date somebody or be friends with somebody who is like, you know what, I did struggle with suicidal thoughts and ideations, and I was placed on a 72-hour hold. I lived in a group home for a little bit, and I'm in therapy now, and I'm treating it, and I'm working really hard. Then date somebody who suppresses their emotions and self-harms secretly, and I have to kind of be liable or be codependent with this person because their mental health is so unstable. And that's how most people feel, even though there's still such a stigma about mental health and getting treated for it. It was completely nerve-wracking, though. I didn't want to go to this, I was so nervous. I was like, what if she tries to get me to go to the psychiatric ward? What if she wants me to go to the hospital? Like, I was so nervous about it. But it was the best decision. I don't know what I would have done last week if I did not open up to her about it. I would probably still be hurt and confused and depressed and self-harming and having those thoughts and those ideations and having no way to control it. I would have been so lost still. And it felt so good to get it out, to cry it out, and to get the help that I really, truly need. It felt so freeing. And now I am, and I'm not afraid to say it because I want to break the stigma. I am going to an intensive outpatient program. I basically go to group therapy. I deal with like a whole team for about 2 to 3 hours, a couple of days a week. And I have no shame in that. I have no shame in that. I have no shame in getting the help that I truly needed and deserved. And I'm so proud. I'm extremely proud of myself for that, because I'm so happy that I'm in this treatment rather than suffering alone. There's nothing strong about suffering in silence. That does not make you a stronger or better person by suffering in silence. And I feel so much better and more stable because going to this program has helped me create boundaries within my life. It's helped me navigate the stuff that's going on in my life. It's helped me navigate how to continue the relationship with my mother. It's helped me navigate how to create healthy boundaries with my family life, how to deal with my living situation at this moment. It's really, really helped me adjust my expectations to my situation. I really hit reality. I was like I just said, like, instead of trying to change what was going on around me, I changed me. And that was the best decision I could have ever made. And I thank God. I really do truly thank God for giving me the courage to reach out to someone and to talk to someone. There's nothing weak about that. God wants you to ask for help. That's what you're supposed to pray for, boo. Nothing, I have to emphasize that so much. There is nothing weak about asking for help, and there is nothing strong about suffering in silence. So if you need help, if you are someone you know is experiencing suicidal thoughts or ideations, please call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 988. Please do. You matter, the people around you matter, and your mental health matters most of all. Your suicide is a permanent fix to a temporary problem. You deserve a happy, long life, and you deserve to be here. You are so loved, and you are so important. Please get the help that you need. There's nothing weak about asking for it. Okay, so I also want to give a little bit of a life update because this is called literally my life, okay? I went to a family reunion recently, like last week, right before last week's episode was recorded in Atlanta, and it was amazing. It was actually a very interesting reunion because being in Atlanta again, it was a lot. It was a lot on me mentally, child, because you know, we talked about old dude and my memories in Atlanta and all that kind of stuff. But being with my family really gave me such a sense of clarity because it really showed me, when they say, when you hang out with that one person and you realize there is something to live for. And that's how it felt. That's literally how it felt for me. I felt so happy and so free. And I looked around at my family, I looked around all these cousins I didn't know I had that I'm like friends with now. And I felt so blessed and I felt so grateful that I am alive, that I am here. And it just made me realize there's so much to live for. And even though I'm going through something right now, it doesn't mean I can't get on the other side of this. I said this last week. Suicide is robbing yourself of seeing things get better. And that's how I'm starting to view it. I could probably go on to be somebody incredible. I can go on to have incredible things and be an incredible person and achieve all of my goals. And I will rob myself of seeing this situation get better by committing suicide. I will rob myself by seeing God's plan by committing suicide. And I literally was listening to God's Plan by Drake. I'm not even kidding, the other day. And there was a part in the music video that spoke to me. It was like this homeless guy yelling. If you've seen the God's Plan music video, you know what I'm talking about. Where he goes, oh, you got to thank God for what's happening right now. It may not be good, but you need to thank God about what's happening right now. Just thank him. And when I tell you that touched my soul, like, it just really touched me. Like, seeing my family, I don't know why, like, God spoke to me through that family reunion. I'm not even kidding. Like, and I'm not the most religious person. Like, I'm really not. I struggle with my religion. I don't pray nearly as enough as I should. I don't thank God nearly enough as I should. And once I put that into perspective, I was like, God has gotten me through every single bad thing that has ever happened to me in my life. And even though right now, even though it's not good, I'm going to thank God, because I know he's going to get me through this, as he's done every time before. So seeing my family, if anything, at that family reunion reminded me of my faith in God. It helped me get over this awful situation that's been sitting on my chest for months. I prayed about it, and I never prayed. I got so low, and I felt so low, I got on my knees and I prayed to God about it. I was like, God, if it is your will, then this will happen. If it is not, then it won't. And I knew, I was like, no matter the outcome, I'm just going to trust God. And that's how I'm starting to live my life. No matter the outcome, I'm just going to trust God, okay? I am just going to be trusting God. And I trust God with my present. I trust God with my past. And I trust God with my future, most importantly. I am just going to trust God. And I don't know why, seeing my family, I don't know why the Spirit touched me when I saw my family like that. But from now on, I am just going to trust God with my life. It is in God's hands. It's above me now. And I'm so glad I've had that realization, that, like, Jesus take the wheel moment. It's above me now. I can't deal with it no more. The burden is too heavy for me, and I'm just going to give it to Jesus. I have to trust God. And that's the biggest lesson learned. If anything, I'm giving it to God from now on. So going to that reunion, I swear that was like the best thing that ever happened to me. And if you are struggling right now with your mental health, I suggest try to set up something, even if it's not a family reunion. Have lunch with, like, the people that make you smile. Go see somebody who really makes you happy. Like, be around the people that make you laugh, that remind you that life is worth living for. The people that make you laugh into your stomach hurt type laughs. Those people that remind you of those little things that make life worth living for. Let the sun shine in your face again. Go to the beach, swim in the ocean, have your favorite drink, call your best friend. Listen to your mom's voice and pray to God, and remember the things that are worth living for, because there are so many things worth living for. So many things. And although it's not, I'm going to repeat it one more time. Although it's not good right now, you got to thank God for it. Even if it's not good, you need to thank God for it. Okay, so we visited a lot of topics today. I really like today's episode. I'm going to be promoting, I know y'all are going to be sick of me promoting this one, but I'm glad we got to talk about people pleasing, prioritizing our mental health, letting go of living up to other people's expectations, and living for ourselves and trusting God. I'm glad I got to talk about how my family reunion made me realize how I have to trust God, like how the Spirit spoke to me. Like, I love today's episode. And I hope more than anything that today's episode helped somebody. That's my biggest goal with literally my life. I always say it. If somebody, even if it's one person, tells me, your podcast helped me reach out for help, your podcast helped me prioritize my mental health, your podcast helped me in any kind of way, that makes my soul smile, because that's what I do this for, to help people, to make people feel loved, to make people feel appreciated, because that's what you are. So many people love you, and so many people appreciate you. And like I said, and I'll say it again and again and again, suicide is robbing yourself of the opportunity to see things get better. I promise. So if you don't take anything away from today's podcast, please take that away. And also take away that there's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing weak about asking for help, and nothing strong about struggling in silence. That you're loved, that you're appreciated, and that you are important. You matter. Your life matters. And if no one cares, God cares, and I care. I'm always here for you guys. You guys can always DM me on literally my life's account. You guys can always text my Snapchat. You can guys always DM me on TikTok. I run everything, and I'm always here. I'm always here to be an opening ear and help you guys. And I hope that by showing my mental health journey and being an example, that I will be able to help you guys, because that's what I started this for. That's the whole point of literally my life. And I just want to thank you guys so much. We're probably going to continue to talk about the progress I'm making. I have some ideas for episodes, but those might be put on pause depending on what's going on in my life. But I just want to thank everybody who listens every week. I want to thank God for giving me this ability to feel better within a week, to get the help that I truly need for this this outpatient program that I'm in. I want to thank my friends. I just want to thank everybody who listens. I just love all of you guys, and I have the best job in the world. I don't think I will ever stop doing this podcast. It is the best thing to ever happen to me. I love you guys so much. If you have not, I hate to ruin a special moment, but if you have not, please follow at literally MGTG on Instagram and TikTok. That is at literally MGTG on Instagram and TikTok. Our TikTok literally has over like 700 followers, which is insane. That little teamwork trend is insane. We have almost 800 followers. Our TikTok is doing amazing. And then I go on our Instagram, guys, and I have 98 followers. Like, why is our Instagram following so low and our TikTok following is like sky high? So please follow us on both to stay updated on all things my guide to girlhood, all things literally my life. I always post like inspirational quotes. I post get ready with me, skincare routines, literally anything anybody asks me to do, I post it. I'm like a little mirror ball, just doing what you guys want of me. But now I'm going to start doing what Alex wants of me. I am taking a little sabbatical from social media, but I promise you, probably by the time this episode airs, I will be back. But yeah, I'm just prioritizing me and my mental health. And then once I feel better, there will be so many changes and developments in literally my life. And I'm so excited for that. This is your reminder to take care of you. Take this week to prioritize you. Take a bubble bath this week. Go to the gym this week. Have lunch with your best friend. Go to therapy. Talk to somebody. If you're feeling weak, you can always talk to me. You can always call the hotline. Talk to someone. That will help you so much more than you think. I hate to say this, but I probably would not be here right now had I not talked to my therapist last week. I'm so serious. I love you guys so much. Thank you to everyone who listens every week. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't. Rate the podcast. Please give me 5 stars. I deserve it. Share it with your friends. Recommend it to a friend. Follow at literally MGTG on Instagram and TikTok. And I will see you guys next week. I love you all so much. You are so loved and you are so important. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.